Welcome to the podcast of the Political Page blog with commentary from an attorney and entrepreneur on the political and social issues of the day, from a rationalist, libertarian, and often irreverent perspective. This is Political Page, and here's what's on my mind today. Welcome to the blog of the 18th of April 2019. This is the day that Attorney General Barr has released the slightly redacted Robert Mueller report on the Russia collusion investigation. And the blog today is a quote from Attorney General Barr: "An unprecedented situation turns." And is it possible that the worm is turning at long last? Let's listen to Attorney General Barr himself.
President Trump faced an unprecedented situation. As he entered into office and sought to perform his responsibilities as president, federal agents and prosecutors were scrutinizing his conduct before and after taking office and the conduct of some of his associates. At the same time, there was relentless speculation in the news media about the president's personal culpability. Yet, as he said from the beginning, there was in fact no collusion.
Wow. You have to give it to William Barr. The man does not mince words, and thank God, isn't it about time? Well, anyway, the report is out. And after 2 years of rampant hysteria, accusations of what have we heard? Treason, claims the tainted presidential election of 2016, tons of threats of impeachment. Heck, they filed articles of impeachment that Pelosi is scared to bring up, insistence that Trump is going to leave the office in chains and die in jail. The report is out, and the result is nothing. Nothing at all. Trump did not collude with Russia. His campaign did not collude with Russia. No American citizen anywhere colluded with Russia. And there was no obstruction of justice in hiding the non-existent collusion with Russia. Now, as to the obstruction, that's primarily because there wasn't any collusion with Russia to hide. You cannot obstruct justice of prosecuting a crime without a crime to prosecute. It is a paradox. But even if you just ignore paradoxes, because Democrats are great at ignoring paradoxes, right? There can be no obstruction because, as Barr is pointing out to us, and as the Mueller investigation now points out to us, the Trump administration never got in the way of anything. It didn't interfere with the investigation. It never fired an investigator. It never even claimed executive privilege. And my God, they could have done, turning over 1 million documents without objection every time Mueller asked for something. Every single administration official, short of the President of the United States himself, was made available for hours upon hours upon hours of grilling, and being grilled by a team which did not hesitate to use any misstatement in that grilling to put people in freaking prison. But wait. Mueller said he wasn't exonerating the president of obstruction, right? I mean, he left that to the attorney general, who then exonerated him. Isn't that nefarious? No, it is not. You know what? We happen to live in the United States of America. Unlike Stalinist Russia, we don't presume guilt until a prosecutor declares us exonerated. That's what they do in those totalitarian places where their political enemies are accused of something, not exonerated, and then they're thrown in a gulag somewhere where the snow never stops. We do it differently. We have innocence until charged and proven guilty, and it is not nefarious to be innocent. But wait, right? There are 10 incidences in which Robert Mueller said brought up to his mind the possibility of an intent to obstruct, right? I mean, isn't that nefarious? Doesn't mean that the things didn't happen just because he couldn't prove them, right? Well, no, actually, it does mean that, because in the United States, a prosecutor does have to be able to prove something happened before we put somebody in prison for it. That is why AG Barr is completely correct in throwing out the obstruction of justice claim into the trash bin, the cesspit of history. In fact, I wish you could light it on fire if excrement would burn. The only mystery here is why a lawyer as experienced as Robert Mueller would even raise these 10 supposed incidents that gave rise to a possibility that maybe if they were done differently might have been obstruction. Except that it's really not a mystery, is it? Because Robert Mueller has just put 33 million taxpayer dollars into an investigation in which he hired a rabid partisan team of anti-Republican lawyers, and they have put the country through hell for 2 full years, and he has to put something in the report other than, oh, never mind. But we know what reality is, right? We know that the fact that he even mentioned those weirdly unsubstantiated, oh gosh, if he had done it differently, it would have been obstruction elements in there. They're going to have to listen to the Democrats for months, grabbing each one of those and smearing it into the mud like they have everything else in our country for 2 freaking interminable years. So let's look at them, right? And I'm not going to look at them individually because they're all the same thing over and over again. And you want to know what it is? This is it. Donald Trump was innocent. He was always innocent. He knew he was innocent, and he knew his staff was innocent. That's what Barr just said. They knew it all along. How do you think that makes you feel? He knew that the accusations against him were utter fakes. They arose from Russian agents obtained by the dirty Clinton machine, and they were fake. So while Trump and his staff were innocent and knew it, just about the entire upper echelon of the Obama administration, FBI and DOJ, together with a massive majority of the press, were not innocent at all, and they damn well knew it too. Trump knew it, and they knew it. It was fake, it was stupid, it was unsubstantiated, it was salacious, there was no basis for it, and they treated as if it was gold. And they attempted to remove a sitting United States president by doing so. And you know what? That made Trump angry. Really, really angry. Hell, it makes me angry. He was angry both on his own behalf and for the country itself, which was undergoing what Barr called an unprecedented situation, an attack on a legitimate presidential election by corrupting the weaponized might of the United States justice system against a political opponent. That would make an honest president pretty darn mad. And yeah, Trump fired FBI Director Comey. He did it because Deputy A.G. Rosenstein told him to do it. But he probably did it more because Comey was busy assuring him that he was not personally under investigation, but refusing to admit it to the press, thus churning the country into this mass of unhinged conspiracy theory madness. And you know what? So what? He had the absolute authority to fire smarmy Comey for anything he wanted to fire him for, including the color of his necktie if he wanted to. It didn't impact the investigation, it didn't impede it, and it clearly wasn't intended to do so. And you know what? On occasion, probably a lot of occasions, Trump yelled. He got angry, he blew off steam, and he suggested that he wished he could stop the attempted coup by removing those perpetrating it. He thought of firing Rosenstein, but he didn't. He thought about firing Sessions, but he didn't. He thought about firing Mueller, but he didn't. He listened to his advisors in the end, which is why, of course, presidents have advisors, so they don't go off the handle and do something they shouldn't do. He's the president of the United States. He could have done it. He could have fired all of them. He could have shut this down in a freaking heartbeat, but he didn't. The implication of the Mueller report on possible obstruction relies upon this. I know he didn't do it, but he thought about it, and if he had done it, it could have been illegal. Well, yeah. Most of us, when we're angry, think about all sorts of things we'd really like to do. We might even spout off about them a little bit, but you know what? We don't do them, and so we don't get arrested. Thinking about doing something that could be illegal if you did it is not a crime. Good Lord, that's the legal standard today, to spend $33 million on an investigation and overturn a presidency? Especially when the anger is justified. Both Mueller and Barr acknowledged that Trump was honestly convinced of his own innocence and that of his staff. He was frustrated by what they called, quote, his sincere belief that the investigation was undermining his presidency, propelled by his political opponents and fueled by illegal leaks, close quote. And that meant there was no corrupt intent to interfere with the investigation, as well as no act that actually interfered with it. So you know what? Trump, yeah, he thought about doing lots of things and he ultimately didn't do them. That's not obstruction, that's self-control. That's maturity in the face of an unprecedented onslaught upon his person and his office and the Republic. And he cooperated, even though it neutered over half the first term of his presidency, even though it hurt. He let that investigation go on to the inevitable end, and the end was inevitable, because there never was collusion, and there never was obstruction. Now it's time for Attorney General Barr to investigate the real crimes. It's time to find the real corrupt intent. And let's start with the highest echelons of the Obama justice system. Thank you for tuning in to the Political Page podcast today. Original blog articles, complete with a lot more information and great links to original source material, can be found anytime on politicalpage.net. That's political, P-A-I-G-E.net.